We are back. All right, we are live. We're gonna be bringing you a video that I've been kind of holding off on and kind of waiting to talk about it. But a guy reached out to me called Elliot, and I wanted to talk about it since people are starting to talk about it a lot more. This video is gonna be covering, the coronavirus somewhat, and we're gonna be talking about the spot market and how this is affecting just about everybody in trucking as well, not only just the spot market. All right, so first one in the house, let's give out a couple shout outs. First one in the house is Easy Trucking. What's up, man? So Easy Trucking, if you want, you can go ahead and start off. How is this epidemic or whatnot has affected you in trucking, whether it has or whether it hasn't? All right, we got Jack of all trades. What's going on? Miguel Sanchez, hello from Maryland. Ken, stay grinding. What's up, brother? So if you're new to this channel, go ahead and mash the like button, or if you're gonna be liking this content, go ahead and mash it up. Mash the like button, or drop a comment down below. Let us know what you're gonna think about this video when you watch it on the replay. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Pretty much what has happened, right, with this coronavirus is kind of taking everybody by a swing. As in, nobody was expecting this, right? Nobody was expecting this virus to be as big as it was, or people have made a big deal about it as it has been. So Easy Trucking, right? The first shout out we said has slowing the truck down and rates suck, brother. I'm just trying to make it work. I hear you there, all right? So right now, this is like proof, that outside besides myself, that trucking is starting to slow down or has already slowed down. What we went from is a peak in freight because people went out and started buying toilet paper, and hand sanitizer, all that kind of pandemic stuff. People went out and bought groceries, all that kind of stuff. Now it's slowed down because pretty much people are not buying that stuff anymore. They already bought what they needed, and people kind of just went on a splurge. All right, and because of that, people are not buying anything. People are staying cooped up in their house. A lot of businesses are shut down. I mean, it seems to be, right, that there's businesses shutting down every day. Not only were they shut down due to, regulations or like non-essential or essential companies being run, the companies that were staying running wind up getting shut down because somebody got this virus, and so that wind up shutting things down. You probably were in this situation where you were delivering to one of these places and all of a sudden they shut down, and you might have had to go to a warehouse to get offloaded. Things like that can happen. I remember when I was running about a week or two ago, I was really nervous onto the places that I was delivering as far as them being open during the whole corona thing, especially when they started first shooting out the non-essential or essential shutdowns. So a lot of these businesses wind up being shut down, and so you had to do your due diligence, right, and made sure the places that you were picking up from, the places you were delivering to, were all open. And not only were you doing that, you just had to make sure, because you don't want to be stuck on something for X amount of days trying to figure out where you're going to get offloaded or whatnot. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. All right, what we're going to be talking about is the rates. All right, and pretty much the rates are in the trash right now. How did they get there? I guess is what we got to talk about. Now, they got there pretty much because, businesses are shut down. Just on that plain fact, it has nothing to do with people not buying anything. Is that the brokers are taking advantage of the situation by getting the broker at an all-time rate low, and that's a very, very good assumption, Julio Martinez. Very good assumption. You got a lot of brokers that have been in this game for a while and know now that the volume of freight is starting to drop. And what happens, it's like supply and demand, folks. You go ahead and start, shipping stuff out, and you can no longer ship out 100,000 coils. Let's just say coils, right? 100,000 coils a day, because 50% of the people that you're delivering to are no longer open. So now you're only shipping out 50,000 coils. Well, the brokers are going to start feeling that, and they're going to be making less money because they're potentially moving less loads per day. So they're going to want to make up the difference somewhere. All right. And you can't blame them, right? You can't blame them, because that's how they make their money, right? So in turn, what they wind up doing is, because they're moving less loads, making less money, is they're going to start cutting the rates of what they're giving to the carrier. And not only that, they're also going to realize that, hey, there used to be 200, 300 loads in this area, and now there's only 100. Well, that means people are really going to want my load, so I can even move it for cheaper. So a load winds up originally paying 2,000, starts going to 1,800, starts going to 1,500. I mean, it starts going to $1,000, until literally not many people are grabbing onto a load, and they can see that, okay, like, we can't go this low because nobody's making any calls, but we can sure get it moved at 1,200. So a lot of rates are probably being chopped in half. And that includes everybody. That includes flatbed, that includes dry van, includes reefer. You can look at the DAT spot market, or internet truck stop, whichever one you want. You can look at the market on the map, and it is, on DAT, it's all white, right? There's literally, I would like to see how many loads there are in the country, on Monday morning. But it has dropped down significantly over the last week. And he says, jack of all trades, mega carriers jump in the spot market and drove the rate to the bottom. People still buying, subs up. If you look in the board, the weight is even lighter than 48K normally is. I'm staying local, running lumber and concrete for the load. Just have to a little something coming in. Mega carriers are dropping rates right now. Flatbeds are in demand right now, but you might be better running hazmat if you're flat. So you do have a lot of carriers that have a lot more capacity, right? And what I mean by capacity is, you have a lot more carriers that have a lot more trucks, and they're able to move X amount of loads. And because they are aware of the situation, they can't be beggars, can't be choosers, and choosers can't be beggars, right? They're aware that they want these loads grabbed up before somebody else grabs them up, and so they're going to move them for a lot less. There is loads, right, that I've been doing that I thought never to this day would ever be gone, like commodities such as garbage, crushed cars. I mean, the stuff coming out of the Northeast, the stuff that is in plentiful, that nobody wants to touch. You think that would still be there? It's not, folks. Even the garbage is gone, right? Even the crushed cars are gone. The lumber is gone, right? And here's why it's gone, right? Think about this, right? The essential, all this essential stuff, non-essential, restaurants are getting a lot less business. And in turn, they're ordering a lot less supplies. There's a lot less garbage coming out of these restaurants, which is where most of the garbage comes from. So now there's a lot less garbage being moved out, and the price drops, right? Because now there's a lot less garbage that needs to be moved. They can drop the price down on the garbage. Let's talk about the cars, crushed cars. The crushed cars aren't being moved because they dropped the rate on the scrap metal. Why? We don't need scrap metal, folks. I mean, the nation has come to a halt. So And in turn, these scrap metal guys that are shipping out the crushed cars are not getting paid to ship them out as much. So they can't pay the carrier, you know, X amount per ton what they used to, because now nobody wants this. The scrap places don't want the scrap. So that's even driving that now. I mean, I just, it's really mind opener that those commodities, something that I thought would be always there no matter what, has actually went down. Now you start going into these places that are, the loads that are still available. There are loads that are still available. Let's not say that, the ceiling is crashing down, or the sky is falling. That's what people say. The sky isn't falling. It is, but it isn't. There's still loads out here to do. For example, um easy trucking, he's saying, he's staying local. You have to go back to the drawing board, folks. If you're trying to run on the spot market during this time, you need to go back to the drawing board. What you were doing before, unless you had it perfected, unless you had like some decent customers, along with brokers or whatnot, you need to go back to the drawing board, and you need to look at everything. You need to look at what are your expenses, and really know what's your rate per mile. What really can you haul this can you move this truck for? And the reason I say that is, like I said, beggars can't be choosers. The load that you used to, paying $4 a mile is no longer paying $4 a mile. It might be paying 2.5. It might be paying two. Shit, it might even pay $1.50. You have to know what your rate per mile is now more than ever, because it's going to be a simple yes or no whether you're going to do that load or not. At the end of the day, folks, the only people that are really running out here are the people that have been kind of doing this for a while. And typically, the people that have been doing this for a while usually have parked their truck. Now, I can always say that to everybody, right? Just go ahead and park your truck, sit it out for a month or two. But this is like, for most people don't come prepared. They're not anticipating something like this that's going to pretty much stop them from making money. So for the people that are still out there, here's my advice. All right, we have 20 people in here and only 5 likes. Let's go ahead and mash it up. All right, we're gonna drop some gems on out here for you folks, so that you guys can still, take it as a grain of salt and apply it to yourself. See if you can try to make it through this. All right. SoCal truckers in the house. Yep, mega carriers in the market beyond their customers seen this long before COVID-19. And SoCal said, unless you have your own customers. Now, look, I will say this, right? If you have your own customers, you're not free from this either, all right? And here's why I say that, right? I have my own customers. They're not dropping the rates on you, really. Your own customers are not really dropping your rates. The problem that you're going to be having with your own customers at this point in time is volume, right? They're not shipping out the stuff. Like I said, they're not shipping out how many loads there are per week. Before, I used to be able to tell, hey, I'm going to pick up, I'm going to be in your area next tomorrow. Give me a load, I have to plan this in advance. And that is advice number 1. You need to pre-plan your stuff, all right? Pre-plan your loads, all right? You might think one day is a lot. No. You need to start pre-planning your loads for the week, all right? If you're going to be running out here during this corona thing, right? During this whole like aftermath, because coronavirus has already been going on. But pretty much we have like about 2-3 weeks more left while the market possibly might wake up, or until they open up the country, right? And we're just kind of hoping for that the country opens up May 1st. It might not open May 1st, all right? So you might even have a longer time to be running out here with the given rates. So the first advice is pre-plan your loads for the week. You'll be surprised of how much less stress you'll have by pre-planning your loads throughout the week. Look, they're not going to pay as much anymore because you're not getting them the same day, or you're not getting them when they're in a rush to get. The shippers are not in a rush to ship things out right now. They're just not. I mean, everybody's kind of just like watching how this thing is turning out. Everybody's afraid of a, economic crash. Nobody wants to spend any money that they don't have to. So, pre-plan your loads, all right? Even if they don't even if the dollar amount is not as much as you want, just make sure you're still making money, right? You're still profitable after your rate per mile. Pre-plan your loads. That's the first advice. Number two, all right. Jack of all costs. Just remember you have to do your daily costs instead of per rate per mile to get through this. Absolutely, right? You have to figure out what it's gonna cost you per day as well, because you might not be popping off X amount of miles when you're done with all this, right? You might be doing a lot less, right? Instead of calculating for 3,000 miles a week, you might want to calculate for 1,500 miles a week, right? Because you might not even hit 15, or you might not hit 2,000. You have to, like I said, go back to the drawing board. Look at everything that you have done before and make sure that this makes sense for you, all right? The people who are going to succeed in this are people with paid off equipment. People that have customers. People that operate in low board but smartly. People that have been doing this for a while know what to do. There might be some people that just might park their truck and just kind of like sit on idle until the right load pops off per day. So you might find yourself sitting at home a lot more than being over the road. And I highly and that's suggestion number two. All right. I wouldn't recommend really running over the road. And here's why. Especially if you have a little bit older equipment. The people that you have in your circle, you're gonna be able to know a lot better mechanics that are gonna charge you a lot less in your circle, not running over the road. And so if you're running over the road, you already know repairs can get astronomically fast, really quick, right? So stay local, stay somewhat close to the house, so you can manage those repairs and it doesn't bite into your bottom line. All right. Um, Miguel Sanchez, I'm still a company driver looking to buy a truck, but if I had one, I'm not ready. Time to park the truck. I mean, right now is a great time to buy a truck, Miguel. It's a great time to buy a truck. There is so many trucks right now going for the low, right? And so many trucks going for the low. Right now is the time to buy a truck. Is it the time to be running the truck? No. Right now is not really the time to be running the truck. So if you wanted to buy the truck, fix it up. All right. Take your time fixing that up. Run company or whatever, and until a month or two blows over, and then run that truck. Get that money. Sell service, not rates, guys. Exactly. That's what SoCal said. At this time, keep that money, SoCal's okay. I need 450 a day plus fuel, so I'm looking at 2,500 mile load. I can do that load for 30-50. Exactly. So you need to figure out, right, how Jack of all trades is saying. You need to figure out your bottom dollar, folks. Let's go to advice number 3. Look back at the loads you have done already. All right. This right here is a gem on its own. There is a load that I've done last week and the week before. Because I've asked many questions when I get loaded, I was able to get awarded that load this week. I mean, 4 or 5 days in advance, right? So the loads that you have done already for the brokers or the customer, ask hey, is this load being repeated every day or every week, once a month? Ask these things, you know. If there were decent paying loads, definitely call back on them. You know, sometimes if they're high paying loads, more than likely those loads aren't going to reappear. Those are a one time deal. But if you look at the loads that are moderately paying, decent, not through the roof, take a look at those loads. You know, obviously you're going to have cheap loads. Those are going to be in plentiful for the most part. Now, um, what do you call it? I'm looking at we got 22 people in here. Go ahead and mash that like button. Well, we're giving some gems out. All right, running on the spot market. Now, here's the next thing, folks. Consider parking your truck. All right, and that is suggestion number 4. All right, the rate will only get worse from here. You think you've seen the worst? The worst has yet to come. All right. Right now, what's happening is fuel is low. All right, the diesel is low, and so the brokers know that they're gonna want to pay even less. The brokers, the shippers, they all know that the fuel is a lot less than what they were before. So that in turn is gonna tell them, hey, pay less for this freight. All right, don't budge. All right, that's all I can say. Don't budge. But consider parking your truck seriously. In all seriousness, going back to number one, kind of like figuring out what your rate per mile is or what your cost per mile to move that truck is, you're going to wind up seeing that you're not going to be able to really move that truck at a profit being out here. So that, being said, you might need to consider parking your truck. Even parking your truck for a month is not the worst idea, all right? And the only reason I say that is because it costs money to be out here. It's a big liability running that truck and trailer down the road. Anything can happen. You know, you got to consider what your deductibles are for insurance. If your deductible is like $5,000 and you're trying to, and you're calculating making $2,000 profit a week, having one accident over that 3-week span will eat up all your profit, you know? And the only reason I say 2,000, that low number, is because if you're not making as much money because you're running a lot less miles, just consider all the factors, all right? It's a big liability being out here. And are you happy to take home X amount giving the liabilities out here, okay? Number five, if you are considering shutting down or if you want to save your money, right, you need to reduce your overhead by every little way you possibly can. Whether you're trying to keep your insurance active or not, go ahead and possibly, if you're gonna shut down, increase the deductible all the way up to 5K. Decrease your radius, right, where you're operating out of. You want to look at every possible way that you can get that insurance payment as low as possible, right? So, and if you're out here running, if you're going to be staying a little bit local, go ahead and decrease that radius, the radius that you're going to be operating out of, because that's going to save you some money as well. The other thing I was going to say was, let's see. I'm trying to think. Let's look at the comments so I could figure out what I was going to say. I'm currently making my way back to Texas. I will only run a 100-mile radius after getting there. That way I can dead head home, Mr. Bell. And that's a great, idea, Mr. Bell. I mean, you got to be able to go home because you're going to sit somewhere and you're not going to like what loads are coming up, right? And you're just like, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to go home. So, like I said, it kind of goes back to kind of running a lot more closer to home, just so that you're not risking your equipment out here getting damaged, and you're making money at the end of the day. We got Henny, Comelo. Yo, I've been trying to get a hold of you, bro. Anyways, K Dog 213, what's up? How did you learn to work on trucks, Pathfinder? Honestly, just a school of hard knocks, live and learn, little by little. I was working on cars before, so that kind of helped me have some mechanical aptitude. And then when I was in the army, I was a helicopter mechanic, and just a little work here and there, and just picking up on things. I guess that's how I learned. So I didn't really go to school for anything like that, if that's what you're wondering. Um, and jack of all trades, I learned through the army. Oh, were you 88 Mike? Jack of all trades? No, 88 Mike is a driver. I forgot what 88 series it is for. Um, what 88 series it is for the mechanics, wheel vehicle mechanic. But anyways, um, these are my suggestions, folks. Like I said, it's only gonna get worse from here. Each week that goes on, that the country is shut down, there's gonna be a lot less loads being moved. All right, pre-plan your loads. Pre-plan them. All right, pre-plan them 3 days in advance, 4 days in advance. And the last tip, all right, last, well, it might be the last tip, but last tip I'm gonna say, right? 22 people here. Mash that like button, mash the dislike button, drop a comment down below to let us know what you think of the video, and let us know if this has helped you in any in the future. But the last little bit that I wanted to say is, you want to start choosing these loads a lot less, choose the loads that are a lot less risky. And by a lot less risky, I mean is, make sure the loads that you choose, you're actually able to complete them without, like, without a blink of an eye. There's a loads that you could possibly question, like, oh, I might not get there in time, or this, that, that. These are not the loads that you need to be possibly doing. And the reason I say that is, going back to pre-planning your loads, you might be pre-planned. Like right now, I'm pre-planned for the whole week, right? The loads that I've chosen have very zero risk involved in them, as far as, am I going to make it there on time, or am I going to make it before they close, or am I going to make it before they stop shipping, or is this place going to be open, or is it too many miles, am I going to fall asleep? These kind of things. Do not risk it, right? If you're going to be pre-planning all your loads, do not risk these loads. Make sure the loads that you choose, they're very, I wouldn't say easy to do, but they're not risky to do in your operation, because pre-planning loads can be, they can suck sometimes. Especially if you pre-plan for a whole week, that means you got to make sure you're on the ball and you cannot drop it, because the one thing about choosing loads every other day is that you kind of remain fluid. If you got tired one day and you didn't drive as many miles that day, and or one shipper took a little bit longer, vice versa, the following load you can make up for it. You could do a lot less miles. You could get a shipper that ships late. But when you're pre-planning like this, you need to make sure, you absolutely need to make sure, is that there's zero chance of missing these loads. Why? You might find yourself having to cancel all the loads for the week when you first started, or you might have to deadhead, like 400, 500 miles, 300 miles, who knows, just because you screwed up. All right. And it could not even be your fault. It could be somebody took a little long to take the product off, vice versa. So it goes back to everything I just said about the advice. All right. And that has been my advice. Next week will probably be my last week running the spot market, just because I have some things planned. I would like to run another week, but the way things are, seeing, really, it ain't worth it for me to be running out here at the given rates, unless the rates just suddenly pick up. Only thing I have to say, the rates will probably pick back up. I don't think they're going to pick up till June 1st, honestly. Even if the country reopens May 1st, you have to think about it. It's going to take easily 2 weeks for manufacturers to start realizing, that loads are coming through, that they need to start shipping things, So it's going to take a little bit, even if the country reopens May 1st. Um, and it might just be a spike, right? You have to also think about it. A lot of people are not buying a lot of stuff, and people are depleting their funds. There's going to be a lot of businesses going bankrupt because of this whole coronavirus. And because of that, there's going to be a lot less businesses requiring loads, or I mean, requiring supply of anything. So I believe June 1st we might get a little spike in the freight, but I believe it'll be short lived. Possibly by July, 4th of July, it'll probably be, or maybe the second week of July, it'll probably be over with. And then we'll be back at a little bit of drop in the freight up until, well, really, I wouldn't say next year, but just depending how winter goes, um, more or less. And I'm just talking about, for the most part, flatbed freight. Dry van, you're gonna have your highs and lows, but pretty much everybody's gonna, I would assume, is gonna see a decrease, an increase, a spike in June. At least that's what I believe, and that's all speculation. Don't go off what I say, but this is just kind of like me looking at things and seeing how things are gonna be going. All right. So let's see the last comment. Freaking 63 Bravo. That's what it was for Jack of all trades. Um, Nonetheless, folks, hope you appreciate the content. I'm gonna probably be dropping another video later on talking about direct shippers, talking about credit checks on the direct shippers. Okay, so anyways, folks, at the is this is the time, guys, to make money to get ready for winter, but not now. There you go. Anyways, folks, as always, we're gonna be trucking till we hit 1 million. All right, don't let this coronavirus get you down. Take the time off, fix your truck while you have the time off, or go on a vacation, or stay at the house, or just keep trucking till you hit 1 million. All right, it's your boy Hamlet. Later.